Tibetan Buddhists have a fascinating tradition, creating giant mandalas from colored sand, spending hours building beautiful intricate pieces of work, and then destroying them. In terms of therapeutic quality, ice sculpting works nearly as well in terms of being a transitory art form and perfect for children who forget about their creations the minute they move on to another activity. There are many ways to engage children in playing with ice, and it's also a sneaky way of teaching them some science without them even realizing it. Just make sure you keep chisels and less than I greater than CHAINSAWS less than / I greater than from them. So how can you engage children with ice play? Searching for toys. Fill a tub with water, putting food coloring in if you like to make it more interesting. Before freezing it, put lots of durable toys and badges into the water and then freeze them in securely. You may need a few days for it to freeze fully. Once it's done, prepare the rest of the tools. You'll want some large chunks of salt, which can also be dyed for a more exciting activity, some plastic spoons and some water. Then allow them to go nuts, under supervision of course, digging all of the exciting toys and buttons out of the ice block. This is probably best for preschoolers, as it doesn't teach them too practically about the way ice works, but it does get them thinking about its mechanics without even realizing it. Build an ice sculpture again, no chisels and chainsaws allowed here, just colored blocks of ice and a paintbrush. Create ice cubes in lots of different shapes, sizes and colors, depending on what will captivate the children most. You'll also need one big ice block about the size of a butter tub. Ask the kids to wet the paintbrush and stick together the pieces of ice to create a sculpture. You could even make it a contest to see who can make the tallest or the biggest sculpture. This kind of task is a lot easier if it's cold out, as it will help to seal the ice together quickly. Try and be imaginative with what you put into the ice. Glitter works surprisingly well too. By using salt, you can teach young kids about how salt and ice work. Explain to them that salt makes the freezing temperature of ice lower. That's why they put salt on icy roads in the winter, and why the sea doesn't freeze over even though it can be much colder than the freezing point. Create patterns in ice. Once again, this starts with a sizable chunk of colored ice. First of all, ask the children to see if they can work out how to remove the ice from its container. If they're totally stuck, you can explain to them about hot water, but depending on their age, they may know the answer. Show the children what happens when you sprinkle large chunks of rock salt on top, and ask them why they think that happens. Afterwards, you can get a little more creative and allow them to drip color into the cracks that the salt has left in the ice. They can paint it on or drip it in with pipettes, and you can use food coloring or liquid watercolors for the effect. Frozen hands. This is a bit different from all the others, which focused on melting blocks of ice. For this one, the kids make the ice however they want it. Collect together some small bits and pieces like beads, buttons and gems, salt, and most importantly some latex gloves. First of all, get them to put some of the little colored pieces into the latex gloves, seeing if they can coordinate, then fill them with water before tying off the top. Space the fingers out, and then pop them in the freezer overnight. The next day, run the frozen gloves underneath cold tap water to loosen the ice from the latex, then cut the gloves away with scissors. You can either make a nice display of the colorfully frozen hands, or you can turn them into an excavation activity and let them dig out the bits and pieces. Large ice sculptures. So again, technically you aren't sculpting, but this activity does take a little more ingenuity. Get hold of lots of different shapes and sizes of balloons, including the long thin ones. Put a little sand into the bottom of each, then fill them with water and leave them to freeze. Ideally, you'll be doing this somewhere where it is cold enough for this to happen. Try and be a little creative about how you allow the ice to freeze. You could wrap the snake balloons around objects or make craters in the round ones. The next day, peel the balloons off the now frozen ice. There should be some interesting patterns from air bubbles and the sand, and you can also put food coloring in while they're freezing or afterward. The colors going through the veins of ice will look pretty amazing. Then all they need to do arrange the pieces. You could make ice people, big ice buildings, or underwater scenes, going pretty much wherever your imagination takes you. To make a real display of it, put some Christmas lights underneath so it glows from within. These pseudoscience lessons don't only allow children to explore their own creativity, but also teach them important and fun lessons about science. And who knows, in the future it could lead on to a lucrative job as professional ice sculptors.